Am I the butthole for divorcing my 80-year-old husband after finding out he's a serial killer? Hey Reddit. I've been married to my husband John for 45 years, he's 80 now, and for most of our marriage, he's been the epitome of a kind, loving, and devoted husband. We have 2 adult children, several grandkids, and what I thought was a peaceful life. John has always been a bit of a quiet and reserved guy, the type who prefers staying at home, watching old films, or working on his hobbies. He has his quirks, sure. I figured that's just part of growing old together, accepting the little oddities in your partner. We live in a quiet suburban neighborhood where everyone knows everyone, and our life has been, up until now, pretty uneventful. A few months ago, I noticed that John had started acting a little more secretive than usual. He was disappearing for hours at a time, always giving me vague excuses about running errands. I didn't think much of it at first, assumed he just wanted a break or some alone time, which is understandable at his age. But one day, curiosity got the better of me. While cleaning out his study, I came across a locked drawer in his desk that I'd never noticed before. Something about it seemed off. I asked him about it later that night, and he got extremely defensive, almost angry. He told me to mind my own business and left the house for a few hours. That reaction set off alarm bells in my head, so the next day, I decided to look into it further. When he wasn't home, I found the key and opened the drawer. Inside the drawer were stacks of old letters, photos, and news clippings, articles about women who had gone missing over the past several decades. Some of these cases were from our town, some from neighboring cities. The most chilling part was the detailed notes written in John's handwriting, analyzing each case, along with some personal items that clearly belonged to the victims. I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This couldn't be real, right? But the deeper I dug, the more terrifying the evidence became. It wasn't just a morbid fascination with unsolved crimes. It was clear that John had been involved in these women's disappearances. The final nail in the coffin came when I found a collection of old keys, house keys, to be precise. Some of them were labeled with initials and dates, aligning with the timeline of these missing women. I felt like I was in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. When I confronted John about what I found, he didn't deny it. Instead, he just sat there, expressionless, and said, "What are you going to do about it?" It was as if he didn't care anymore, as if this secret life he'd been hiding for so long no longer mattered to him. I was frozen in fear. This man, my husband of 45 years, had been living a double life all this time. I couldn't believe the person I'd shared my life with could be capable of something so horrifying. After that, I packed a bag and left the house. I couldn't stay another night under the same roof as him. I've been staying with a close friend, trying to figure out my next steps. As soon as I left, I filed for divorce. I couldn't bear the thought of being tied to someone like that, no matter how old he is or how long we've been married. But now, I'm starting to get a lot of backlash from family and friends who think I'm overreacting or being cruel for leaving him at his age. They say things like, "He's too old to do anything now," and "You've been together so long. Why leave him now?" Some are even questioning whether he's really guilty. Even though I know what I found, it's been a few weeks since I filed, and I'm still struggling to process everything. I'm terrified that I may have been living with a monster for most of my life, but I'm also conflicted. Is it selfish to leave him now? Should I be more forgiving because of his age, even after everything I discovered? So, Reddit. AITA for divorcing my 80-year-old husband after finding out he's a serial killer? Should I have stayed, considering his age and the fact that he might not be physically capable of hurting anyone anymore? Or am I justified in wanting to get as far away from him as possible, regardless of how long we've been married? Any advice or thoughts would be greatly appreciated. I feel so lost and confused right now.